Validity. Please go with subtitles. What is validity? Validity means truth or genuineness of a test. It is another important feature of a scientific instrument. It refers to the degree which a test is supposed to measure. Its correlation with some outside independent criterion, and it is the best measure of trait or ability being measured by the test. It is concerned with generalizability. When independent criterion has been set, both test and criterion are reliable, then the correlation between the test and criterion can safely be taken as evidence of validity of the test. Purpose or importance of the validity. It is the extent to which a test measures what it claims to measure. It is vital for the test to be valid in order for the results to be accurately applied and interpreted. It is important in psychological research as it's part of both experimental and clinical research. So, it refers to the degree to which resulting scores can be used to make meaningful and useful inferences about test taker. It determines when what type of survey questions can be used. So that is the main thing of aspect or purpose of the validity. The factors affecting the validity. There are plenty factors which will affect the validity. The first, initially, the factors in the test itself means how the test is conducted or how the test is functioning, the content of the test and teaching procedures, etc. Factors in the test administration and scoring. So how it is done, how it is conducted and how the scoring is interpreted. This also influences the validity. Factors in the pupil's response and nature of the group and criterion. Okay, so based on the number of the pupils or students, then is it a heterogeneous or homogeneous group? These also will be affecting. Length of the test and length of the test. Then commonly homogeneous means the group of same features, means for example elderly or children, that is one group. So homogeneous and long tests are mostly valid compared to the other aspects. So homogeneous and long tests are valid tests that we have to keep in mind. Opposite is heterogeneous and short duration tests are not that much valid compared to homogeneous and long term. If the range of ability is increased, the scores also increased, thereby increasing the validity. Addition of inappropriate items always decreases the validity. Next, ambiguous means unclear, ambiguous directions. A test developed in one culture may not be valid for another culture because of the differences in their socio-economic status, sex ratios and social norms, etc. But when the test is cross-cultured, it doesn't affect validity of a test. So these are the few factors which will affect the validity. Coming to the types, content validity, which is nothing but representative of specific area of the content. Criterion validity, to establish the functional relationship with variable available at the present or in the future. That is called as criterion related validity. So that measures both in the present and also future, that we have to keep in the mind. Then third one is construct validity, measures the hypothetical trait or quality of examinees which are measured by test performance. So content validity, criterion validity and construct. First two are commonly used and third one is rarely used. In detail, we learn about the types of the validities. First thing, content validity. It is constructed so that the content of the test measures what whole test claims to measure. Also called as curricular validity. It is concerned with contents of items individually and as a whole. The content validity of test is examined in two ways. That is by one thing is by expert's judgment and second is statistical analysis. The internal consistency provides the evidence of content validity. High correlation coefficient provides index of content validity of a test. The content validity assess whether a test is representative of all aspects of construct. To produce valid results, the content of a test must cover all the relevant parts of the subject it aims to measure. Example, if a test is to survey the arithmetic skills in 5th grade, the content validity indicates how well it represents the range of arithmetic operations possible at that level. Means here the content means what we have to measure only the intelligence aspect. The content is intelligence aspect in 5th grade level only. So if the ability of a test is to explore a measure of intended domain, that is like we can say intelligence. The identification of pertinent domain means intelligence only we have to, and that is 5th grade only, and obtaining agreement on it are important to content validity. So we need to only focus which content we are doing, that is called as content validity. Coming to second type of validity, that is criterion related validity. It is also called as concrete validity. Criterion means we are comparing, that we have to keep in mind. Okay, then we can understand. It measures how well one measure predicts an outcome for another measure. It is useful for predicting the performance or behavior in other situations like past, present or future. So these aspects we are comparing, so it is called as criterion related validity. To evaluate the CRV, calculate the correlations between the results of your measurement and the results of criterion measurements. If there is a high correlation, then the test is said to be good in measuring what it's supposed to measure. The CRV is obtained by comparing the test scores with the scores obtained on a criterion available at present or to be available in the future. So based on these types, we have 3 types of criterion related validity. They are predictive, concurrent and retrospective. Predictive criterion validity. This test score here, the test scores are obtained and time gap is given after which the criterion scores are obtained. So first test there will be again gap, then we will be taking the criterion scores. So the test scores, criterion scores are correlated, and obtain the correlation becomes index of the validity coefficient. Coming to the concurrent validity, it is best to diagnose the present status, same as predictive validity, but the time gap is not given here. In the above we will give time gap, but here no time gap. That is the only difference between the test scores and the criterion scores. So the test is correlated with the criterion and both are correlated at that time only. The aim of concurrent related or this criterion related validity is to demonstrate that the test scores are predicted of real life outcomes. CRV is an index of how well a test correlates with an established standard of comparison, that is criterion. This is about criterion validity. And the third being is retrospective CRV. Retro means what? Past. So it measures how a particular behavior correlate with past occurrences that demonstrates their behavior. So these are three types of criterion validity: predictive, concurrent and retrospective. Coming to the third major type of validity, that is construct validity. It is also called as factorial or trait validity. It is more complex and difficult to even conduct, so it is rarely used. When the content validity and criterion validity fails to measure the test's validity, then this comes to play. Then the construct validity is supposed to be conducted by the researcher. A construct is a non-observable trait such as intelligence, anxiety, verbal fluency, extroversion, dominant nature, etc. The steps in construct validity are: first thing, the researcher has to specify possible different measures of construct. So here means the researcher clearly defines the construct in clear words and states measures of that construct. No standard measures are set here, so we need to follow the previous researchers' constructs. So the first step is specifying the possible different measures of the construct. Second step is determining the correlation between these measures of construct. Find out that the well specified measures led to measurement of concerned construct. It is done through empirical research, which measures go together and correlate with each other. That is determining correlation. The third step is determine if all or some measures the measure of the construct. That is, They all should measure the same thing and should see that all behave with the same reference. So then only they provide evidence for construct validity. It is very rarely constructed or used, as it has many difficulties or the problems. So the steps of construct validity are specifying the possible different measures and then determining the correlation between these measures of construct, and determine if all measures or some only measures the measure of the construct. So these three are, that is content validity, criterion validity and construct validity, which are main aspects of validity. Thank you.